And I don't think it feels good. I don't think it's spiritually good to have stolen work.
How did stolen artifacts end up in Western museums? And why would they refuse to give them back? The much celebrated return of 119 Benin Bronzes by the Dutch government this past June reminds me that the British government is still adamant about not returning the Benin Bronzes in its possession. For those who do not know, the Benin Bronzes are a collection of thousands of ancient brass, bronze, and ivory artworks created by the Edo people of the Benin Kingdom in what is today Edo State, Nigeria. These artworks include plaques, statues, masks, and royal ornaments that once decorated the walls and altars of the royal palace in Benin City. The Benin Bronzes were stolen during the tragic event known as the Benin Punitive Expedition of 1897. At that time, Benin Kingdom refused to comply with Britain's exploitative trade demands, and in January of 1897, a British delegation wanted to visit Benin City. However, they were asked to delay their visit because a sacred festival was taking place and the Oba could not see visitors during the festival. Despite this, the British delegation continued towards the city. This led to a preemptive attack by Benin's generals, who thought they were coming to overthrow the Oba. The generals killed most of the British party. In response, the British launched a full-scale invasion with 1,200 soldiers. They attacked and burned the city, destroying much of its heritage. During and after the invasion, they looted thousands of artworks and sacred objects from the royal palace. These treasures were shipped to Britain and sold to pay for the military campaign. Over time, these Benin Bronzes were spread across museums and private collections around the world. For over a century, the bronzes sat in Western museums far removed from the people who made them. Now, a new chapter is unfolding. From Germany to the United States, museums are finally returning some of these bronzes to Nigeria. But while many have agreed to repatriate, the British Museum, home to the largest collection, continues to refuse. The British Museum holds over 8 million artifacts from every corner of the globe. Its collection covers nearly 2 million years of human civilization. But many of these artifacts have disputed ownership. The museum insists that the artifacts belong with them, preserved and displayed for the world to see. But across Africa, Asia, and beyond, voices are growing louder, demanding that these pieces be returned home. So, why won't the British Museum give them back? To understand this controversy, we have to go back in time. In the late 1600s, the British Empire began expanding across continents. At its height, it controlled nearly a quarter of the world's land and people. During those centuries of conquest and colonization, Britain extracted not only resources and wealth, but also cultural treasures, many of which were taken during wars and invasions. Thousands of sacred historical and artistic objects were removed from their original homes and shipped to London, where many ended up in the British Museum. Artifacts at the museum that are now at the center of global ownership disputes include the Rosetta Stone, which was seized by British troops from the French in Egypt, and the Parthenon sculptures, removed from the Acropolis in Athens by a British lord in the early 1800s. And then the Benin Bronzes, which were looted by British soldiers as described earlier. These are just a few of the most famous examples, but there are hundreds more. In March 2000, the royal family of Benin formally requested from the British Museum the return of all cultural items taken during the invasion, but the museum brushed these requests aside. The museum claims that under UK law, it is actually forbidden from permanently returning any objects in its collection. That is the British Museum Act of 1963, which makes restitution almost impossible, except for Nazi-looted artifacts, which a 2009 legislation allows them to return. Instead, the museum offers to lend pieces back temporarily. But for the traumatized owners, this isn't enough. These objects aren't just art. They are symbols of cultural identity, memory, and sovereignty. The push to reclaim stolen artifacts isn't only about ownership. It's about justice and recognition. As global conversations about colonial history and restitution grow louder, the pressure on Western museums is increasing. In 2022, the the Smithsonian joined European museums in repatriating some of the looted artifacts in their collections. In this interview by VOA Africa, Haight Adams asks the director of the Smithsonian National Museum of African Art how stolen African art ended up in museums like hers, and other questions about museums and looted artifacts.
The Benin Bronzes, mired in controversy for more than a century, have been displayed in museums worldwide. I'm talking about thousands of treasures stolen from the Kingdom of Benin in present-day Nigeria by British troops during colonial times. Since the 1930s, Africans have campaigned for these artworks to be returned. And for decades, some of those Benin Bronzes were on display right here in Washington at the Smithsonian's National Museum for African Art. The Smithsonian has now joined European museums in repatriating some of the looted artifacts from their collections. I visited the museum to find out if their repatriation could change the way African art is acquired and exhibited in future. The Smithsonian Institution is one of the biggest cultural organizations in the world. The repatriation of the Benin Bronzes is part of the institution's so-called New Ethical Returns Policy. Nairi Blankenberg is the director of the Smithsonian's National Museum of African Art. I asked her how stolen African art can end up in museums like hers in the first place.
The process for how objects end up in a museum vary depending on the museum. So because the Americans didn't have a colonial presence at the time in the U.S., we were not a part of the process of removal per se. I mean, it was for the Benin Bronzes, it was 1897. It was a British expedition. That's quite clear. But what often happens is things that are removed, they make their way into the market, the art market. And then they are acquired through various people. And so through collectors, through traders, through diplomats, through missionaries, etc. And then often those things are gifted to a museum or donated to a museum. So our bronzes came from many different routes. They were all gifted to us. Some were inherited from other collections. And so they made their way into our collection, and at different times, since the 70s and the 80s, I think even as early as the 90s, and they found themselves in our collection.
So can you give us an idea of what has been returned, what still needs to be returned, and what won't physically be returned to Nigeria in this case?
I think the really important thing about the restitution issue is the transfer of ownership. Because what that does is that changes who has the power to decide what happens to these works. And the people who decide may not always want them back, per se, but it's up to them. So in this particular case, we physically have returned 22 of the 29, and we've kept 27 on long-term loan, the terms of which have been dictated by our partners in Nigeria who own the work. We've also signed a memorandum of understanding with the Nigerian Commission of Museums and Monuments, and we're busy right now working with the Benin Museum on a collaborative exhibition that will have the Benin Bronzes in dialogue with contemporary works, contemporary design in Nigeria and here. So it's definitely not the last time people will see the work here, but the terms through which we discuss these become more like other works of art. I think people get alarmed about restitution as this idea that someone's gain is someone's loss. And that's not always the case. I mean, museums everywhere have loan objects. There's an exchange of loan works of art. Most big temporary exhibitions have one or two works of art on loan in it. They're not always from someone's permanent collection. So I think the idea of transfer of ownership is really about the power to decide. It doesn't necessarily mean that no one, the members of the public in DC, are never going to be able to see them again. That's not true. The terms, though, have changed.
And that is another question that I had. How do you feel about the fact that some of these artifacts will no longer be here? Is that bittersweet? Do you feel like it is a loss?
No, I feel great. I think that the work that we have here unethically or through violent conquest is unhappy, quite frankly. And I don't think it feels good. I don't think it's spiritually good to have stolen work or work that is only for ritualistic purposes or sacred work taken out of context and put into a situation where it doesn't belong. And so I'm absolutely happy about it. Listen, the Benin Bronzes are exquisite works of art. And I'm very happy about this partnership and that we're continuing to make sure that they're seen by many people. But it's also super important that local people can see the masterpieces that have come from African cultures. I don't need to have a bunch of stolen loot or unethically procured things in my museum to be a legitimate place. I would rather create a space that Africans feel they belong, who don't feel stressed about coming here because they see evidence of our cultures as Africans taken out of context, displayed in ways that are not meant to be, that go against the context or the intent of their creators. That to me is really stressful, and it's not right. And for me, that is a wrong, a historical wrong, that is far more important to rectify.
On these walls, visitors can see firsthand the writing of a wrong. 130 years in the making. Empty frames illustrate how many Africans may have felt about their heritage for so long, an emptiness that is only now being restored. There have been calls for decades now, if not longer, for these items to be repatriated or for restitution to happen. What took the Smithsonian so long? Why now?
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to say. I can't say with certainty that the request hasn't been made until now. I know that we have certainly had the bronzes for many years, and we've worked very closely with the Royal Palace in Benin City of Edo State for many, many years. And so it's not that we've been hiding that they're here. You can see here we've always acknowledged the circumstances under which they were removed. I think that perhaps it's a change in leadership. The Ethical Returns and Shared Stewardship Working Group was something that Secretary Lonnie Bunch and Undersecretary Kevin Gover instituted before I came to the museum. So that was already underway. And I'm not sure kind of why or when, but I'm pretty sure it probably had something to do with when they were appointed as leaders. Kevin Gover is a former director of the National Museum of the American Indian. And so, of course, issues of repatriation and restitutions are in the founding DNA of that museum. And Lonnie Bunch is the founding director of the National Museum of African American History and Culture. And so definitely in his consciousness, the importance of ethical behavior for museums, particularly for African diasporic people, is front of mind. And then I joined in July, and as a South African myself, it's obviously a critical issue for me personally. And so I think it was really a confluence of perhaps leadership and also, I suppose growing consciousness in the museum community. I feel nervous saying that because I also don't want to dismiss the efforts that have been made through African governments and states and activists for decades around this issue. So I don't want to pretend that this is suddenly a new issue when it's not. People seem to be listening a little bit more now.
How does this process, though, affect what happens in future now? The way art is acquired, the way it is preserved, and the way it is exhibited. Will we see a change in that?
I hope so. I hope so. I don't think necessarily, to be I'm not naive about the way the world works. For us, the restitution was something we had to do in order to do what we really need to do, which is to become a 21st century global African art museum and a place for belonging and regeneration and resilience and joy for African peoples everywhere. And we can't do that when we have things that make people upset and when the work is upset itself. We can't do that. Our focus definitely is on the present and on the future. And to really moving forward to have more of a presence on the continent, a more intentional relationship with peoples from the continent, really recognizing the realities of of the future, which is, I mean, we all say that Africa is the future. And that's, you know, in the abstract, it's true. Demographically, that's true. For us, it's really important that that become true on the day-to-day. And so that's African peoples, whether they're creators or visitors, feel that this is a space that holds them and that's for them.